Hello, and welcome back to Freedom from Fire. During these strenuous times, managing social distancing and making sure that we continue to follow appropriate safety guidelines, Freedom from Fire will continue to embrace the digital method via Zoom. We strive consistently, as always, to bring valuable content and information to our viewers, as well as providing our amazing interviews. For this episode, we have a special guest returning who will tell us more about the Fire Science program at Community College of Philadelphia. So please stay tuned. Hello, and welcome back to Freedom from Fire. I am your host, firefighter Kamilah Bayete. I am currently stationed in our department's Fire Prevention Division, where community risk reduction efforts are a primary goal. Here at Freedom from Fire, we aim to improve your quality of living by giving you fire and life safety information. We also introduce you to our local safety partners. On our last show, Deputy Chief Carl Randolph joined us to discuss his career in the Philadelphia Fire Department, his family, Special Operations Command, and the Fire Science program at Community College of Philadelphia. Unfortunately, we ran out of time, so we invited Chief Randolph back to continue the discussion. Welcome, Chief. Thank you so much for joining us again today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Also, let me officially congratulate you on 27 years with the Philadelphia Fire Department.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you're in.
Fighting 168, destined to be great. December 5th.
Right. December 5th. Excellent, excellent. Well, Chief, since you were last on the show, there was a new Matt Letourneau scholarship announced by the Philadelphia Fire Department for the Fire Science program. Can you tell us a little bit more about the scholarship?
Okay, so the scholarship program was brought along by the Matt Letourneau Foundation. So the folks that worked really hard there presented the Community College of Philadelphia's Fire Science program with this at the annual golf outing a few months ago. So it's a great opportunity. It's going to pay for one class for a student who is taking the Fire Science program over at Community College of Philadelphia, and it is the very first scholarship that we've had in the Fire Science program at Community College of Philadelphia. So we're really excited about that, and we feel very lucky that it's in the Matt Letourneau Foundation.
That's great. That's great. So for those who don't know, who was Matt Letourneau?
So Matt Letourneau was a first of all, he was a brother firefighter who was all the way into education, training, and he was a firefighter's firefighter. And he was from Delaware County, and he actually came to the Philadelphia Fire Department. And if you know Matt, you grew to love Matt. And that's what this educational scholarship is about. And he was a lieutenant at Engine 45. A few years back when we had a tragic ending to his career at the 2200 block of North Colorado Street. Ironically, I was the fire marshal at the time, and I spent the 9.5 days with our agency partners investigating that fire that took Matt Letourneau's life. So possibly he was promoted to captain. And we feel really, really lucky to know him and to have been a part of his life and a part of his career, and his legacy lives on through community college scholarship.
That's great. That's great that his legacy can live on in a program like this, Fire Science program, that will help, hopefully, the next generation of firefighters progress throughout their career.
100%, yes.
So who's eligible to apply for the scholarship?
So current CCP fire science students are eligible to go ahead and apply. And I think there was some direction in the announcement of the scholarship. There was some direction to go there, and absolutely. If you're a current student, you're in a fire science program at Community College of Philadelphia, go ahead and apply.
All right. And what's the process? How do you go about applying for the scholarship?
Okay, so you would go to ccp.edu and you would log in. After your login, on the left side, there's a menu, and you would click scholarship and awards, and you would go ahead and process a scholarship and award. Now, you will not see Matt Letourneau, but what happens is our folks at CCP is just going to match your scholarship, available scholarships, with your program. And that's where, and the good thing about this, and I thought it was kind of odd when I was being told about the process, but the really good thing is, if there are other scholarships available, then they can apply it to you as well. So I backed off my, the way that I felt about it initially. It kind of shed some light on the real deal. And that's if there are other scholarships that you are awarded or that are there, you can also be awarded those scholarships.
Oh, well, that's definitely very beneficial to especially students just starting out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so if someone did not fill out a free application for federal student aid in the fall of 2021 or before the fall of 2021, are they still eligible? Are they still able to apply for the scholarship for spring 2022?
So I would say yes. I would say go ahead and apply. If you did not do a FAFSA, go ahead and apply for the scholarship because there could be some way that you're awarded the scholarship. Through my educational process, when I did in my undergrad, there was a similar scholarship from Cal and Lucille Redmond, and it would help you pay for undergrad. And I applied every single time that I was eligible, I applied, and absolutely, every little bit helps.
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah, and this particular scholarship for Matt Letourneau pays for an entire class, so it pays for an entire course. So that's a great thing.
That is a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, Chief, I understand in spring of 2022, emergency scene management and hazardous materials will be the courses offered for the fire science program. Can you describe can you describe some of the things students will learn in those two courses?
Okay, so emergency scene management, we'll start there. The Fire Science 111 course is taught by a retired deputy chief, Tom Garrity, who now works at Montgomery County and retired from Philadelphia. Tom teaches this course in synchronous manner, meaning that there's a date and time that you have to be online. And what you're going to learn is the process to approach and extinguish and everything you should be looking for any type of occupancy that is out there. Tom goes over high rises. He goes over single family dwellings, row houses, taxpayers, hazmat. He talks about every single possible, every single possible response that you may go on as a first responder. And he uses Chief Smith's book, James Smith, who's also a retired Philadelphia Fire Department deputy chief, and it's about strategy and tactics. He uses that book. And when I say they cover everything, it is a oral example of an oral. If you're going to be taking an exam and you're going to take an oral assessment, then this is the class that you want to be in, because every single thing that I learned and I still take to today, that's the foundation of it from the educational perspective. And this is maybe the 6th, 7th edition of Chief Smith's book. So yes, this is a great class, the Fire Science 111. And the 271 course is one of my courses that I teach, and that is the Hazmat course. So in the Hazmat course, you're going to learn about Hazmat PPE, about level A suits B, you're going to learn about DOT, symbols. You're going to learn about decon, gross decon, the differences in decon, the agencies, all of the ABCs that respond to that, and the emergency response guidebook, and everything that you can think of hazmat. Time distance shielding, everything that you would want to know about hazmat is going to be touched on. So we're going to be teaching that in the spring. I'm looking forward to the class, and we're in the process of attempting to boost enrollment in our community college Philadelphia program. And it's a really, really, really good program. And I think that people would, because you have the agency professionals, the fire service professionals who teach in this program are also either retired or active fire service professionals today.
That's great. It's great to be able to learn from those who are actually doing it.
Correct.
So you're talking about boosting enrollment, looking to boost enrollment. What are some of the methods you're using to accomplish that?
So I do things like what we're doing now to market the program. Community college itself markets the program on their website, and they have marketing that they do themselves. Myself, I've done at least 2 Q&As, question and answers with community college's team, and we just do a show, and it's live, and folks log in and they ask questions live, and I talk all about the program for about an hour. I've done that twice. I market via chiefs that I know of departments in locally. So, and this is I said this before, not in this particular program, but I said in a previous program that we're right now in the process of transferring the entire program to an online platform. So if you were in San Diego and you want to take this course, then take this course. So that's what we're moving the courses over. And as they are becoming available, we're offering them. And there are 10 courses. So
you explained one reason why you're trying to move the course completely online. If you're in San Diego or somewhere else, you can take the course basically from anywhere.
Correct.
Are there any other reasons behind why you're transitioning the program to online?
So the obvious is our pandemic. That is the obvious. It's just tough to bring people together right now, and this educational piece and life doesn't stop. So you can continue to get your education, and we're just moving with the times. A lot of other, in order to be competitive, we also have to have some online version of what's going on. And I'm even looking at shortening the courses. And as you say that, right now, I'm looking at shortening my Hazmat course to maybe a 10-week course instead of the 15-week course. And I'm looking at having a version of all the courses that we can offer in the summertime. And so that's an even shorter course. That's a 7-week course. So I'm looking to, just be innovative. And, the goal is to get people educated, get them their degree, and make it the easiest route possible. And that's another reason that I'm here. And, folks' suggestions, I'm always open for them, and how we can make that happen for our students.
That's great. It's good that this pandemic has taught a lot of us, or maybe in some ways has made a lot of us have to make adjustments. And we're currently doing this interview via Zoom.
Exactly.
So we've all had to make modifications and adjustments for the time. So
yes, and I've been in the studio a few times for interviews there as well. So here we go.
There we go. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take a short break, but when we return, we're going to keep this awesome conversation going. So please stay tuned.
As birthplace to the first volunteer fire companies, Philadelphia is home to one of the nation's premier fire museums. Fireman's Hall Museum displays the city's fire history in addition to promoting fire safety. You can visit Fireman's Hall Museum in Old City at 147 North 2nd Street. Visit firemanshallmuseum.org to learn more, or watch the museum's show, Curator's Corner, on LaSalle TV.
Welcome back to Freedom from Fire. I'm your host, firefighter Kamilah Bayete. We are talking to Deputy Chief Carl Randolph about the Fire Science Program at Community College of Philadelphia. All right, so Chief, what courses do you have planned for summer and fall of 2022?
Okay, so we're actually just had a big meeting with all of our instructors in the course, and there is a transition phase for the folks who are teaching to come from the classroom to online. So based on what courses are available, I'm thinking occupational safety and health. However, that's Deputy Chief Vince Mulray course. So we're thinking we're gonna have him up and running, but we're working on it. There's also a fire administration course that could run from Shauna Bracey, who's who is our old human resources manager, works at Local 22 now. So she teaches in the program as well. So she's teaching fire administration. So I'm thinking that either both or one of those classes could run. However, the remaining classes So we talked about, I think there's about 6. So there's 4 classes that are not transitioned, including those 2 as of right now. Once we get everyone transitioned, there will always be a schedule out. The flexibility that we're going to be afforded from doing it online is that now I can do some research to find out what the students need, what the students' needs are as far as a course. I'm going to reach out. I plan to be reaching out to those students and say, hey, if you're interested in taking Fire Science 111, we're going to give it in the summer. So I suggest you sign up. A shortened class, a shortened version, so it's going to be a little intensive. However, if you want to graduate in the spring and you take this class, you don't have to wait a year for the class to come back around. That's the way I plan to go about it moving forward, because I know when I was in this program that I graduated from years ago, I think I started this program in 1996. Okay, we're not going to talk about that anymore. So I think that you would have to wait. You would have to wait for courses to come around and classes to come around in order to graduate. Oh man, I need that class, but it's not going to be given again until for 2 years. So I'm trying to remove that wait. I actually had a retired captain who I was his battalion chief when I was in South Philly, who lives in Florida now. And he reached out to me and he wants to take a course. So we were able to do something like that for him. And it's a great idea. And the goal is to get people through the program, not keep people as students as long as we can, like I was. So that's what we're working to do. And those classes, and I'll reiterate those classes, I'm not 100% sure, because this is the way we're going about it in this way. As the classes become available, as we go through the process of getting them approved by the college, they'll become available.
Okay. And so you mentioned the 2 courses that you are looking into for the summer. Can you tell me, well, specifically fire administration, what will students learn in that particular course?
So we're going to talk all about human resources. We're going to talk about all about the ADAs in Americans with Disabilities Acts and all of the laws and all of the human resources issues and those types of things that have to do with the organization as it pertains to the fire department. So fire administration could be any administration, but specifically with our fire administration, like Fair Labor Standards Act, we have all types of laws and rules that apply to the fire department specifically. And that's the types of stuff that we'll be talking about. Local unions and relationships and those types of things and case studies. And yeah, it's pretty. It was I enjoyed all of the courses, but when you say fire administration, it was the one I think I learned the most because it was the one I knew least about, but it opened my eyes to a lot when I was in the course.
That's great. I mean, just to think, the things we need to know goes way beyond directives and OPs. There's so much more.
And locals, but we need to know all of it. So, we really need to know all of it.
Excellent. So what instructors do you have? Do you have any instructors beyond the ones you mentioned for this summer? You said you had a meeting with a bunch of instructors. So
yes. So I've mentioned myself. I've mentioned Tom Garrity, who's the retired deputy chief from the Philadelphia Fire Department. Ed Grugan, who is a retired deputy chief from the Philadelphia Fire Department. I've worked for both of these chiefs. They were both great. They were always both into education, and they are still working today. And I'm privileged to have them as a part of the program. And then there's Vince Mulray, and he's an active deputy chief right now, and he's at Division 2. And Vince Mulray I always have to say this when I think about Vince Mulray, he was the first in chief on Amtrak 188's accident that we had there, and he did a job that was so well. I think he's been around the country talking about it with other events to discuss what happened. He has a really good presentation about that. We had Shauna Bracey, who I talked about. She was the human resources manager for the Philadelphia Fire Department. She now works for Local 22. Shauna is super sharp, and we're glad to have her within our program. We also have Battalion Chief Linda Long. Linda is a battalion chief with the Philadelphia Fire Department, Hazmat. As a matter of fact, when Linda was, I was her battalion chief at Hazmat Administrative Unit. She was my captain there. And we both got promoted together. So I got promoted to deputy chief and she was promoted to battalion chief. I've known Linda a whole lot of years. She brings a ton of experience. Linda is the only person in the Philadelphia Fire Department, the only person, remember this, that was a paramedic, was promoted to paramedic captain, joined the fire academy as a fire cadet, lieutenant, captain, battalion chief. She's the only person who's ever done that in our department's history that I know of, and I think I'm pretty good with that one. So Linda brings a ton of experience from both sides of the aisle. You know, she was an ES officer way back when. She's done, you know, in the 90s. So we're really happy to have Linda on board with us. And myself, hello. Yeah. So
Well,
special
that's great.
operations,
Sounds like
27 years.
Yes.
I'll give a little synopsis, if you will. After 27 years and being a special operations chief and trying to figure it out, and I'm really, really, really excited to be a part of this team. When I was asked about it, I took as an instructor, so I became an instructor initially, and then when I was asked about the program coordinator's position, 100% on board and given it all that I have to bring the program back to when I was a young firefighter. There was 27, 28 firefighters in this program that was at CCP, and we used to go down there and meet, and we were all in the education. We were all competitive. We were all, it was a really good time in the fire department. Not that it's not a good time now, but I'm talking about for this program, this particular program.
Absolutely. Well, that definitely helps when you have classmates who are also your coworkers who
Correct.
Yeah, share that together. So you mentioned on the last show that current firefighters, they can have a half point awarded on promotional examinations if they
Yes.
have the associate's degree in fire science.
Yes.
What would be the benefit for someone who may have a degree already, a master's or a bachelor's in another field? What would be the benefit for them to coming into this program content-wise?
Okay, so the biggest thing about this, that's an added a half a point on an exam is a lot now. That's when the lists come out, you'll take a look at it and you'll see that it means a lot. However, learning your craft and learning it from an educational standpoint is so important. It's so vital to how you begin to approach your career as you start to learn about the things that happen and you become more mature within the job and more mature educationally. It just enhances who you are as a member of the Philadelphia Fire Department. I'm speaking from experience. So, you just mature. There was a saying that my mother would always tell me. She's like, when you know better, you do better. She's right. She's right. So once you learn and you start to learn, you start to become a better fire service professional. And that's contagious. So that you never know who's watching you, and those people emulate you. It happens all the time. I have an experience that I'm thinking in my head right now of a young firefighter who I was his lieutenant instructor, and he would always say, "I'm following in your footsteps. I'm following in your footsteps." He would always say that, and he actually did. He would go here. I was at that station. He went there. He did, and now he's about to be promoted to deputy chief at the end of the month. And he would always say, "I'm following," and now he's not following my footsteps. He's caught up with me, which is great. That is fantastic to me. But like I said, you never know who's watching and why they're watching and how they're watching. So the way that we carry it, no one's perfect. However, the way that we carry ourselves is important to our coworkers and our subordinates. So that's important.
Leading by example.
100%. Yes.
So in the fire science program, what is an unusual experience or interesting or unusual experience you've had or a student has had in the program?
Um, so we had students who were not firefighters, and within the program, we would go out and we would. There was an instructor who taught building construction, and he's retired. He was a battalion chief, Drennan, and we would go out on field trips pretty much, and we would go to Old City and we would look at the way the buildings were built. And I remember one particular student who this experience was like, they were like a tourist in Japan. Everything was photographs. And for me, because I was a young firefighter who's always out there doing what I do, it seemed kind of weird, if you will, kind of buff-ish. But when she explained it, I gained a new respect for it. I was like, you know what? Now I wish I had my camera, because she's right. Maybe we saw something that I won't be able to see in the way that I saw it on that field trip. But the program was thriving and it was good. And we were out and like I said, walking around Old City, looking at the way that buildings are designed and the stars and the spreaders on the buildings and access to the roofs. And we just looked at everything, every single thing about buildings. So it was good. And hopefully we can get back to a point where human beings can interact on that level again.
That would be nice.
But I thought that was, from my perspective, that appeared to be unusual. And it may not be so unusual today, but in 1998, it was kind of unusual.
Definitely. And in these current times that we're in, interesting experiences like that really stand out. So, yes.
Absolutely.
Well, again, we are out of time again, Chief. We are out of time again. So I want to thank you again so very much for joining us again today and sharing your experiences. Remember, if you would like to find out more about us on LaSalle TV, you can check out our social media sites. And if you're interested in learning about the Philadelphia Fire Department, visit our Facebook, Twitter, and web pages. Also, check out Fireman's Hall Museum, located at 147 North 2nd Street, and meet with our museum curator, firefighter Brian Anderson. Once again, I would like to thank our guests for joining us today. I would also like to thank you for tuning in and watching. So until next time, remember, fire is everyone's fight. Stay safe and remain free from fire.